What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today I'm here to bring all of you the weekly anime review of Gate, or Gato. So, this episode goes into politics, which, if you know by now, I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of politics. And so, with this episode being kind of about political matters, it was definitely a very engaging episode for me, as a watcher, that really enjoyed this episode. I had a lot of fun with this, and definitely, most likely one of the best episodes I watched of all day. Like, I mean, I've seen everything today. I've already watched everything. And I'll tell you right now, Gate was definitely one of my favorites of today. Because when it came to some of the discussions in political matters, when it came to Ruri, you know, just saying, you're a little girl, and saying, like, I'm 900-something years old, and then finding out more stuff about our main male character, and how he's a special force agent, and then also, you know, how he was a ranger, and different things like that. There's just so much good stuff in this episode that I think anyone can really appreciate when it comes to Gate. Now, one thing I want to actually tackle into before I talk about the episode, because it's become very apparent from the light novel readers and manga readers of Gate, that I think I should probably discuss this, because I see it in the comments a lot, and I want to address that. So, according to what some Chibits have been telling me for the past couple weeks now, since I've been reviewing Gate, is that Gate is heavily censored. I might have mentioned it slightly before, but I've never really dived into it much. I've been told that there is a lot of censors being done to Gate. Like, there's a lot of blood that's being cut out, and some of the scenes have been axed out of Gate, and I don't really know how far the censorship to the, I guess, rushing goes when it comes to Gate, but if I know other series I've seen in recent years, but it's not as bad as some of the things I've seen, because I've seen a lot worse when it comes to light novel readers getting very mad about some series not being done right. So, it doesn't seem to be that bad, but I have noticed those complaints, and if anyone could really just dive in and clarify all this information of what they've skipped to this episode and stuff, I'd be very thankful. So, besides that, getting back into this episode, since it still is one of my favorite episodes, even though I just addressed that, I like how majority of this episode was actually just talking. Like, I mean, these type of episodes you would think would bore the fuck out of you, and usually they do. Depending on the anime series and how the art director to the animation director to how the production team and all that makes the episodes, usually these episodes can bore the fuck out of you where you're like, oh my fucking god, just get over with. I mean, sometimes there is episodes that can do that. Let's just face it, there is. And I think all of us have probably even encountered episodes like that while watching anime, or even reading manga. Some mangas like that as well, some chapters are. So, thing is, this episode, being a talking-orientated episode, it was very entertaining, but it might have to play a part because it was politics and stuff like that, and I do have a bias towards that type of stuff, so just weigh your decision on that. But anyways, back on topic. When we got to see how our team, our group, was discussing to the entire world of what they've been doing, for instance, fighting a dragon. This is the main topic of discussion when it comes to this episode. For instance, after fighting the big fire dragon, you know, Itami, what do you have to do? Well, you have it to where the world leaders all that are looking at this event is like, okay, so we had 150 casualties. Can you explain why so many died? Like, did you throw them in front of you, use them as meat shields? I mean, did you run away? Did you prioritize the military's lives over the civilians? Just so many different variables being thrown in, and it's kind of the standard press of what they would do. They would keep snowballing these hard questions. You're like, fuck, shut up. That's kind of how some of that stuff would be. And to see how that was done, it was slightly realistic, and I like how Ruri just put that girl in her place. Just like, she pretty much just said, shut the fuck up. That's kind of what Ruri said. That's exactly what she said. He's like, stop asking these stupid-ass questions. I mean, you're saying 1/4 of these people died. But you're not looking at the other part of this story. 3 out of the 3/4 survived. So, just to see that, I like how Ruri just pulled a middle finger up at that girl and was like, fuck you. That's just like, yes, yes, yes. So great. It really was. Now, besides that, we also have it to where we see how our girls, our main female characters, interact in society in Japan. For instance, wearing natural clothing. Some of them don't change attire, which is kind of saddening. I was hoping to see Ruri get in a business suit of some sort, because that would have been very interesting, but she didn't do that. So, we saw some characters dress up in normal Japanese clothing, along with traveling around in some form of other plot building up where someone's trying to do something to Itami's group, which I can't wait to see what direction that will go as well. And then on the other hand, with more politics, we have it to where the princess that came into the country is having some form of business meeting with the world leaders in Japan, and talking about, okay, so we have some hostages from your world, the fantasy world. We will give them back slowly. We could give some of the men back to you. And they have, like, this entire book report on the different hostages they have. And what's cool about this is you had to where the princess, like, okay, it's very obvious that these guys here are probably keeping the main elite noble families back in hostage situation for they could get favors from our government. For instance, let's put it this way. If you were to have a noble kid, like a very noble rich kid, and you had him as a hostage, and you were to return this noble rich kid to their family, think about it for a second. Most likely they can win favors in the future because they will have, you know, this kid on their side or done something to make the kid or person on their side. So that's kind of what's going on here and why the princess was being so cautious. Is like, can you give me some time to look through all the different names and pictures? That is what was going on. I want to assume, though, with the way it's going, it might be possible that the Japanese government are probably not even going that direction. It might be that they just have random hostages that's not even really worthy of any ransom at all, and the princess is going to realize this and just kind of be like, what the hell is going on here? Now, besides that, episode overall, it still continued to use that freaking animation, with the fucking pictures. I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that. Fuck it. I'm not. I've said it for the past 3 damn episodes. This is the 3rd time. I'm not saying it anymore. Fuck it. Unless it gets really bad. But it continues to use that type of art and animation. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, okay, that's it. So, you all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.